I didn't expect the bank to save my life. Not after the day I had. Not after the divorce hearing where my husband Michael stood in front of the judge, smirked at me, and said, "She leaves with nothing." That was the agreement. I stood there, heart pounding, wondering how a man I loved for 12 years could proudly watch me fall apart. Michael always knew exactly where to hit. He took the car, the house, the insurance, the accounts, every dollar we ever saved. He even kept the dog. By the time we walked out of the courtroom, I had $23 in my checking account and the clothes I was wearing. That was it. At the bottom of the courthouse steps, Michael leaned close to my ear and whispered, "You were nothing when I met you. You're nothing again." Then he walked away with Olivia, the woman he'd been cheating with for a year, arm around her waist, both of them laughing. I should have cried, but I didn't. I just felt numb. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you believe in karma, hit like and subscribe, because this story will prove it. I walked for almost an hour, dragging my suitcase behind me. I didn't know where I was going. I had no apartment, no family close by, and no idea how I was going to survive the next 24 hours. It wasn't until I reached the edge of downtown that I noticed something sticking out of the side pocket of my suitcase, a small leather card holder. The corners were faded, the stitching loose. When I pulled it out, my breath caught. It was my mother's. My mother had died when I was 18, and the day she passed, I couldn't bring myself to look through her things. I boxed everything and moved on the best I could. Inside the card holder was one thing, her old debit card. The bank she used didn't even exist anymore under that name. It had merged with another company years ago, but I stuffed the card into my pocket anyway, almost on instinct. Maybe I just needed something of hers, something to pretend I wasn't completely alone. By the time I reached the bank branch, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely push the glass door open. The inside smelled like disinfectant and printer ink. People stood in line with perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect lives. I looked like a ghost. A woman at the counter glanced at me, annoyed, impatient, and snapped her fingers to wave me forward. "Next," she sighed. I stepped up, trying to steady my voice. I need to check an account," I said softly. She didn't smile. "Card and ID." I handed her my license and the old debit card. She barely looked at my ID, but when she picked up the card, her expression changed instantly. She blinked, then blinked again. Then her posture straightened. She slid the card through the machine. The machine beeped. Once, twice, then made a sound I'd never heard before. A deep tone, almost like an alert. The clerk's face drained white. She looked up at me slowly. "Ma'am, can you wait a moment?" Sure?" She didn't wait for an answer. She stood and walked fast, almost running, toward a glass door with gold lettering. "Branch manager, Mr. H. Dawson." She knocked, then went inside. I stood at the counter, confused, hugging my arms around myself. People behind me groaned impatiently, but I didn't move. 30 seconds passed, then a minute, then the door swung open. A man in a navy suit stepped out, late 50s, gray hair, polished shoes, the kind of man who looked like he'd seen everything. He walked directly toward me. "Miss," he said, eyes narrowed slightly, "may I ask your name?" "Anna," I whispered. "Anna Blake." His face shifted. "Your mother's name?" he asked. My throat tightened. "Margaret," I said quietly. "Margaret Blake." He inhaled sharply. "Come with me." The room tilted. Everyone stared as he guided me into his office. He closed the door gently behind us. "Miss Blake," he said, lowering himself into his chair, "I need you to know something before we proceed." My heart pounded. "Proceed with what?" He slid the old debit card across the desk. "This card is linked to an account that was opened 21 years ago. It was originally part of Greenwood Savings. When that bank merged with us in 2012, we were instructed to maintain certain legacy accounts exactly as they were." I frowned. "I don't understand." He tapped the screen on his desk. "The account holder left a note," he said. "Stored in the system. Digitally. Permanently." He rotated the monitor so I could see it. There was a scanned document. My mother's handwriting. Shaky. Soft. Familiar. "If my daughter, Anna Blake, ever presents this card, verify her identity, then release full access to the account and deliver the sealed message in the vault under her name. I covered my mouth. "Oh my God," I whispered. He clicked again. A balance appeared, a number so large my brain stuttered. "That can't be right," I breathed. He nodded. "It is. Your mother deposited a significant amount shortly before her passing. She requested the account be locked until you presented this card in person." I shook my head. "She never told me." "Not once." The manager softened. "Perhaps she wanted you to find it when you needed it most." When I needed it most. My eyes stung. He stood and walked to a tall safe in the corner, typed a code, opened it. Inside was a small envelope with my name written on the front. He handed it to me with careful hands. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. The paper was thin, yellowed at the edges. Her handwriting danced across the page, the same handwriting I memorized as a little girl when she left notes in my lunchbox. "My Anna, if you're reading this, it means you are older now, and I am not there. I'm so sorry. I wish I could see your face." Tears blurred the ink. "I know your heart. You love deeply. You give everything you have. One day you will trust someone who doesn't deserve you. When that happens, and when you feel you've lost everything, come here. Use this card. This money is yours. I saved it for you so you would never stay with someone who hurts you because you felt you had no choice." My breath hitched. If you are reading this after pain, know this. You are stronger than you think. You are worth more than anyone ever told you. You are my daughter, and I love you with all that I am. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped the paper. The manager looked away respectfully as I cried. After a long moment, he cleared his throat. "There is one more thing," he said. I looked up. He tapped another screen. A legal notification was attached to this account. "It appears your mother created an emergency trust under your name, and that trust gives you rights to revisit your divorce settlement." I blinked. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "Miss Blake, your husband took everything from you, but this document?" He tapped his screen again. "This will destroy his settlement." I stared at him. "How?" He gave a slow, knowing smile. "Because the trust your mother set up was tied directly to your marriage contract, and your ex-husband illegally hid assets that belonged to you through this trust." My heart stopped. "What?" He nodded. "Your mother protected you, even from beyond the grave." The world tilted around me. Michael thought he had won, thought he had broken me. But my mother, she left me a weapon. And tomorrow, I would use it. I sat in the bank manager's office with the letter trembling in my hands, reading my mother's words over and over. My mother had known, not about Michael specifically, but about me, my heart, my softness, my blind spots. She knew one day I'd love the wrong man. She knew one day someone would break me, and she prepared for it. The manager, Mr. Dawson, waited patiently while I wiped my eyes. "Miss Blake," he said gently, "there is more you need to see." He turned the screen again. A file opened. It was labeled, "Emergency Trust, file only upon daughter's distress." My breath caught. "Distress?" I repeated. "Yes," he said. "Those were your mother's words. She very specifically instructed us to hold this trust until you return to the bank in hardship." I swallowed. "And the trust? What exactly is it?" He adjusted his glasses. "It is a protected account your mother built using funds she inherited from a real estate share, a company she invested in before you were born." I stared. "My mother had investments?" She never told me. He nodded. "She didn't want you to depend on it until you needed it." He clicked again, scrolling down the document. Then he pointed. "Here," he said, "is the part that changes everything." The line read, "No spouse or marital partner may claim any rights, access, or evaluation of this trust unless the daughter gives written consent." I stared at it. Mr. Dawson continued, "Your mother structured this trust so your future husband couldn't touch it, even if he tried to claim you were hiding assets. She was protecting your future." My heart thudded. "But Michael didn't know about this." "Correct," he said. "But unfortunately, that didn't stop him from doing something illegal." "What did he do?" The manager tapped the screen. "When your divorce was processed, Your ex-husband submitted a financial disclosure form. He listed his assets, his income, and yours. I nodded. Yes, my lawyer said we had nothing. That's why I got nothing. Mr. Dawson shook his head. Your ex-husband forged part of the disclosure. He falsely claimed you had a private trust of significant value. I froze. What? He nodded. And he wrote that you refused to disclose it. My stomach twisted. He lied? He lied under oath, the manager said. And he used that lie as the basis to argue you didn't need any settlement. I felt the blood drain from my face. He stole everything from me, I whispered. The manager looked at me with steady eyes. No, he said softly. He stole everything from himself. He clicked another tab. A legal notification appeared. This letter, he said, was drafted by your mother's attorney. It activates automatically if anyone ever claims access to your trust without your consent. And your husband did exactly that. I blinked. What happens now? He smiled faintly. This letter, along with the trust, forces the court to reopen your divorce case. And because he lied, his entire settlement is void. I stared at him. He gets nothing? Nothing, he confirmed. And you? You get everything back. Something inside me cracked open. Not anger, not revenge. Relief. For the first time since the divorce hearing, I could breathe. When can we take this to the court? I whispered. Today, he said. I've already contacted the legal team we use for legacy trusts. They're preparing the files. I covered my mouth as tears filled my eyes again. Mr. Dawson, I whispered. Thank you. He shook his head. Don't thank me. He gestured toward the letter in my hand. Thank your mother. Noah, the assistant banker, escorted me out of the office and into a private lobby where a notary verified my identity for the trust release. They handed me a folder thicker than a textbook, sealed with 2 gold clips. Inside were the trust documents, the scanned letter, the bank's confirmation, and the legal notice that voided Michael's settlement. I stared at the folder. This can undo everything? I asked. Noah grinned. Ma'am, this folder is basically a nuclear bomb. You're going to walk into court and your ex-husband's lawyer is going to faint. I almost laughed. Almost. But then reality hit me. Michael was going to lose everything he took. He didn't just lose. He lost publicly. That man cared more about ego than money. And tomorrow morning, the judge was going to read every word. When I got outside, the sky looked clearer than it had all year. I sat on a bus bench, hugging the folder to my chest. My phone buzzed. Michael. He had never called me after the divorce. But now? My hand shook as I answered. His voice came through, angry, sharp, nervous. Where are you? I'm fine, I said flatly. What were you doing at the bank? I saw the statement alert on the joint email. I froze. He still had access to the old email? He snarled. You better not be messing with my accounts, Anna. I swear to. It wasn't your account, I said quietly. He paused. What? It was my mother's. Another pause. Long, thin, cold. Then his voice came back, low and dangerous. You listen to me, he hissed. You're not going to take anything from me, not a single dime. I earned everything we had. I laughed softly. No, Michael, you didn't earn anything. What did you say? You forged my disclosure, I said calmly. You lied to the judge. Silence. Then, who told you that? The bank. His tone changed instantly. Fear. Warned panic. Anna, listen to me. No, I cut him off. You listen. My voice didn't shake. Not anymore. You stole everything. You humiliated me. You threw me out like trash. His breathing grew louder. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Then I said the sentence that made him choke. The court is reopening our divorce tomorrow. He gasped. You can't do that. I can, I said, and I will. He started shouting, You think you can beat me? You think anyone will believe you? You don't have money for a lawyer. You don't have... I interrupted him quietly. I have more than you think. He scoffed. Oh yeah? What could you possibly have? I looked down at the folder, at my mother's handwriting. Her trust, her protection, her love. Then I gave him the answer. Everything. He went silent, Then the call ended. I exhaled slowly. It felt like the first breath of my adult life. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared. Because, for the first time in years, I felt powerful. I sat at a small motel desk, reading every page of the documents. At 7:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Miss Blake?" A woman's voice said. "This is Judge Collier's clerk. We need you in her chambers at 9 a.m. for a review of your reopened case." It was happening. But the clerk continued. "And Miss Blake, your ex-husband has already arrived, and he looks furious." I smiled. "I'll be there." When I hung up, I pressed my fingers to the folder. "Mom," I whispered. "Thank you." My life wasn't falling apart. It was finally beginning. The courthouse felt completely different this time. Last time I stood here, I was shaking, broke, defeated, walking into a future with nothing but the clothes on my back. But today I carried a folder that could flatten Michael's entire world. The clerk guided me through a hall lined with old portraits before stopping at a tall door with a gold plate. "Judge, Elisa Collier, Civil Division." She opened it quietly. Michael was already inside, and he was unraveling. He wasn't in his usual press suit. He looked like he'd slept in the car, hair a mess, tie crooked, eyes red with panic. His lawyer, Mr. Henley, stood next to him, flipping through the emergency refile papers with trembling hands. The moment Michael saw me, he exploded. "What the hell did you do?" Judge Collier lifted her head sharply. "Mr. Blake, sit down." He didn't. He jabbed a finger at me. "She's lying. She's trying to steal. Sit down." The judge's tone was ice. Michael sank into the chair like a scolded child. The judge folded her hands. "Miss Blake," she said calmly, "please approach." My pulse raced as I stepped forward. I placed the thick folder on the bench. "This," I said quietly, "is the emergency trust created by my mother before her death, the document my husband falsely claimed I was hiding." Judge Collier adjusted her glasses. She opened the folder. Page by page, her eyebrows lifted, then tightened, then froze. She looked up. "Mr. Henley," she said to Michael's lawyer, "did your client inform you of this?" Henley swallowed hard. "No, Your Honor." "So you had no knowledge," she continued, "that the trust your client claimed his wife was hiding did not legally exist in her disclosed assets?" Henley stuttered. "And no, Your Honor." Michael shot him a glare. The judge turned to Michael. "Mr. Blake, do you understand the severity of what you've done?" Michael jumped to his feet. "I didn't do anything. She's manipulating the system. She—" "Enough." Her voice cracked through the room. "Your financial disclosure stated your wife possessed over $200,000 in a hidden trust. You used that claim to argue she should receive no alimony, no property, and no marital assets." Michael nodded furiously. "Yes, because she—" The judge raised the trust file. "This trust did exist." Michael smirked. "Exactly. But," she said sharply, "it was legally protected from marital access under state law." Michael's smirk vanished. "And it was designated for an emergency hardship," she continued, "not a marital asset, meaning she never hid anything." Michael shook his head violently. "No, she had to know." I lifted my mother's letter. "I didn't even know it existed," I said firmly. "She never told me." Henley looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Judge Collier tapped her pen. "Mr. Blake, this court takes perjury extremely seriously." Michael swallowed hard. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I didn't lie." The judge raised the disclosure. "You signed this document." Michael's breathing grew faster. "You signed it knowing it was false," she continued. "And now the bank has provided digital records showing you attempted to access the trust during the marriage." His head snapped toward me. "That bank had no right." "The bank followed the law," the judge cut in. "You did not." He stared at me, eyes wild. "You think you're smarter than me? You think you can embarrass me like this?" The judge slammed her gavel. "One more threat," she warned, "and you will be escorted out." Michael forced himself into his chair, but he wasn't done fighting. "Look," he snapped at his lawyer, "show her the joint statement. Show her the expenses I paid." His lawyer didn't move. Instead, He spoke quietly. Michael. There's another issue. Michael narrowed his eyes. What issue? Henley swallowed. The subpoena for your personal credit card records came back this morning. Michael jolted. What? Why would anyone subpoena? For your mistress, the lawyer whispered. Your transactions, your gifts, your travel expenses. Michael froze. Judge Collier leaned forward. So, she said, you used marital funds on personal relationships outside your marriage? Michael's face twisted. That's none of your business. She raised an eyebrow. It became my business the moment you claimed your wife had wasted marital assets while you were spending thousands on another woman. Michael stood again. She drove me to it. She made me miserable. Sit. Down. He collapsed back into the chair. Henley rubbed his forehead. It gets worse, he said softly. Michael whipped his head toward him. What do you mean worse? Henley reluctantly opened a slim folder. Your Honor, he said. The subpoena also revealed hidden withdrawals from the business account into a private crypto wallet. Michael's face drained to white. No. That was nothing. That, Henley cut in, is felony-level concealment of marital assets. Michael shook his head violently. You can't do this. She's lying. They're lying. Everyone is lying. Judge Collier lifted a hand. Mr. Blake, you hid assets. You forged documents. You spent marital money on your mistress. You attempted to access a protected trust, and you perjured yourself in front of this court. Michael's jaw clenched. You can't take everything from me, he whispered. You already took everything from her, the judge said. Now the law will balance it. He slammed both hands on the table. No, you can't do this. The bailiff stepped forward. Sir, you need to calm down. Michael pointed at me, shaking. You did this. All of it. You ruined my life. I looked him in the eyes. No, Michael, I said quietly. You ruined your own. The judge lifted her gavel. Effective immediately, she said. The original divorce decree is vacated. All marital assets will be reevaluated. Mrs. Blake is entitled to half of all shared property, including the house, business equity, retirement accounts, and any hidden assets uncovered. Michael made a strangled sound. And, she continued, the court will be filing a separate investigation into your financial misconduct. Michael lunged toward me. You don't deserve anything. The bailiff grabbed him just in time. Let me go, he screamed. Let me. Remove him, the judge ordered. The bailiff dragged Michael out, still screaming, still thrashing. When the door slammed behind him, the room fell silent. Judge Collier turned to me. Miss Blake, she said gently, I'm sorry for what you endured, but I promise you justice is going to be served. My eyes burned. Thank you, I whispered. She nodded. This hearing is adjourned. Outside the courtroom, his lawyer approached me slowly. He looked exhausted, older, defeated. Miss Blake, he said quietly, I'm sorry for what my client put you through. I nodded. Then he added, and he's not done. I stiffened. What do you mean? Henley took a shaky breath. He didn't just hide money from you. I frowned. What else? He swallowed. He hid things from the state. I blinked. What kind of things? He shook his head. You'll hear it at the next hearing, he whispered. But trust me, you don't need to fear him anymore. I stepped back. Why are you telling me this? He exhaled. Because I just quit as his attorney. He handed me a card. If you ever need a witness to his behavior, call me. Then he walked away. And for the first time since the divorce, Michael was the one losing everything. Not me. Michael being dragged out of the courtroom should have been the end of the storm. But it wasn't. Because when a man like him starts losing, he doesn't stop falling. He plummets, and the people he dragged into his mess, they start talking. As I walked out of the courthouse, the crisp air hit my face. I felt lighter than I had in years. But before I could even breathe in relief, Mr. Dawson, the bank manager, called my phone. Miss Blake, he said, voice urgent. You need to come back to the bank. There's something you haven't seen. Something I hadn't seen? My heart jumped. Is something wrong? I asked. No, he said. But you need to see this before the next hearing. He wouldn't explain more. Just, please come now. I turned back toward the bus stop, clutching the folder, and hurried to the bank. The moment I walked inside, Noah, the young banker, spotted me and waved me over. "Miss Blake, come with me," he whispered. "Mr. Dawson is in the vault room. He found something." Something? My pulse climbed. Noah led me through the back corridor, through a keypad door, and into a glass-walled vault office. Mr. Dawson stood beside a metal drawer pulled halfway open. Inside it was a second envelope, much older, thicker, yellowed with age. He held it out. "Miss Blake," he said gently, "your mother left 2 letters. One for when you needed financial help, and one for when you needed the truth." My breath caught. "The truth about what?" I whispered. He pressed the envelope into my hands. "I think you should read it alone." Noah quietly stepped out. I sank into the chair, staring at the envelope with trembling hands. On the front, in my mother's handwriting, "Anna, open only after your heart has been broken." I inhaled shakily and opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter and a photo I would never forget. My mother, holding me as a newborn, and standing beside her was a man I did not recognize. My knees weakened. The letter began, "My Anna, there is something I never told you. I wanted to. I tried. But you were so young, and then I got sick, and time ran out." My hands shook violently. "The man who raised you, the man you called Dad, was not your biological father." My breath hitched. The room blurred. "Your real father was a man named David Whitmore. He loved me. He loved you. He planned to marry me. But there was an accident when you were 6 months old, and he died before he ever got to watch you grow." My heart twisted painfully. "He left me his estate. A small trust. Enough for us to survive. Enough for me to save for your future. The trust. The account. I hid it because I wanted you to be chosen for love, not for money." Tears streamed down my face. "When I remarried, I kept his inheritance separate. I wanted to protect you from people who would use you." I felt gutted. "Anna, you come from a man who loved deeply, fiercely, and honestly. You deserve a man like him, not someone who sees you as something to control." I covered my mouth to stifle a sob. "I'm sorry I never told you. I believed I would have time." At the bottom was a small postscript. "If someone ever tries to break your spirit, remember this. You were loved before you ever opened your eyes." I held the letter to my chest and cried for the man I never met, cried for the mother who tried so hard to protect me, cried for the years I spent thinking I was nothing. I wasn't nothing. I came from love, from sacrifice, from someone who left a legacy just to protect me. I finally wiped my face and stepped out. Noah saw my expression and stepped back respectfully. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. I nodded, barely. "Yes, I just learned something important." Mr. Dawson gestured toward a stack of documents on the table. "And now," he said, "there is one more thing." My stomach tightened. "What?" He handed me a printed email. It was from the district attorney's office. "Urgent. Request for financial records. Subject: Michael Blake." "What is this?" I asked. Mr. Dawson sighed. "After you filed the trust, the DA cross-checked Michael's accounts. They found something unusual." "What kind of unusual?" I asked. He hesitated. "Michael didn't just hide assets. He hid an entire second account, offshore." I went cold. "Offshore?" I whispered. He nodded. "And that's not all." He handed me another paper, a photo. Michael, standing outside a luxury condo, arms wrapped around a woman who was not the mistress I knew about. "What is this?" I whispered. "This," he said gently, "is the second affair the DA found transactions for." My jaw dropped. He had another woman? Yes. And according to the financial transfers, he was paying her rent with company funds, which is corporate theft. I felt sick. Michael had stood in court calling me worthless, while he was living an entire double life behind my back. Mr. Dawson continued, "The mistress you knew about? She has already contacted the DA. She wants to testify." My head snapped up. "What?" He nodded. "She didn't know about the second woman. She's furious, and she has voicemail recordings." I blinked slowly. "Recordings of what?" He cleared his throat. threats, bribes, and statements proving he hid money intentionally. My knees nearly gave out. Michael wasn't just a liar. He wasn't just a cheater. He was a criminal. And every layer the DA pulled back revealed something darker. As I walked out of the bank, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. "Hello?" A quiet female voice answered. "Anna? Yes? This is Olivia, Michael's mistress." My pulse spiked. "What do you want?" I snapped. I need to talk to you," she said nervously. "I didn't know what he was doing. I swear. I need to tell you something. Something about the business. Something about the money." I froze. "What money?" Her voice trembled. "Michael told me if anything ever happened, to blame you." I felt the blood drain from my face. She continued, "But I can't. Not after what I found. Not after what he did." My voice cracked. "Olivia, what did he do?" Her breath shook. "He stole from the company, from investors, and he used your name." I staggered back. "My name?" "Yes," she whispered. "He forged signatures. He put withdrawals under your authorization. If investigators saw them, they'd think you did it." I felt the world tilt. The DA's investigation. The offshore account. The forged disclosures. Michael wasn't just trying to leave me broke. He was trying to leave me destroyed. Olivia's voice trembled again. "I have proof. Documents. Emails. I'll give them all to you." My voice shook. "Why?" "Because he told the other woman she was the real one. Not me. He said he'd never leave her. And I realized I was just like you. Replaceable." I swallowed hard. "Where can we meet?" I whispered. Her answer was a shaky cry. "Anywhere. Please. Before Michael finds out I called you." I closed my eyes. The war wasn't over. But now? Now I had allies. And Michael had no idea that the 3 women he tried to break were about to destroy him. Olivia chose a busy cafe for our meeting. Smart, public, safe. She sat in the corner booth, hood pulled low, sunglasses on, hands trembling around a paper cup that had long gone cold. When I approached, she stood instantly. "Anna," she whispered, "I'm so sorry." I didn't hug her. I didn't sit immediately. I just looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time, I didn't see a villain. I saw a woman who had also been lied to. "Sit," I said quietly. She nodded and slid back into the booth. I sat across from her, folding my hands in my lap. "What do you have to tell me?" I asked. She swallowed hard. Then she pulled out a thick manila envelope. She pushed it toward me with shaking fingers. "This," she whispered, "is everything." My throat tightened. "What's inside?" Her voice broke. "Proof that Michael stole money from his own company, that he stole investor funds, that he forged multiple documents, and that he signed your name on 2 of them." I stared at her. "Why would he do that?" She wiped a tear. "He said if anything ever went wrong, he'd blame you. He said you were the perfect scapegoat. You were quiet. You never argued. You never fought back." My stomach twisted. I had been blind, yes, but not because I was weak. Because he made sure I stayed afraid. I opened the envelope. Inside were bank transfers, screenshots, emails, voice messages, investment documents with my forged signature, and a spreadsheet titled Future Liability Risks, Anne Blake. My name spelled wrong, because Michael didn't even care enough to get it right. My hands shook with rage. "You didn't know he was doing this?" I whispered. Olivia shook her head desperately. "No, I swear. I thought he was separated. I thought you were both moving on. I didn't know about the hidden apartment. I didn't know about the second woman. I didn't know he was using your name." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know I was just another pawn." I believed her, because looking at her now, she looked exactly like me on the day he left. Broken, confused, used. "What about the other woman?" I asked. She exhaled. "She already talked to the DA. She told them about the cash he paid her off the books. She gave them passwords, screenshots, everything." My heart pounded. Michael didn't just make mistakes. He built a criminal empire out of lies, and now it was collapsing. "Anna," Olivia whispered, gripping the edge of the table, "I'm terrified. What if he finds out I talked? He'll ruin me. I leaned forward. He can't hurt you. He's losing everything. And after today? I tapped the envelope. He'll lose more. The next morning, I took the evidence straight to the district attorney's office. The investigator, Sergeant Lopez, met me personally. She looked serious and tired, like she'd seen too much corruption in her career to ever be surprised. But when she opened the envelope, she was surprised. Jesus, she muttered, flipping through the pages. This is enough for multiple charges. I swallowed hard. What kind of charges? She counted them off, one finger at a time. Wire fraud, forgery, identity falsification, corporate theft, tax evasion, and misappropriation of investor funds, which alone is a felony. She dropped the stack onto her desk. Your husband, she said, is going to prison. My breath left my lungs. Prison? Oh, yes, she said firmly. With this, at least 5 to 10 years, maybe more. I didn't know whether to cry or collapse, because for the first time since the day he walked out, I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the witness, the survivor, the woman he underestimated. Sergeant Lopez stood. We'll file charges today. You've done the right thing. I nodded. And when I walked out of the building, the sun felt warmer. I wasn't scared. Not anymore. Court reconvened 2 weeks later for the final judgment. Michael wasn't in the courtroom this time. He entered in handcuffs. His orange jumpsuit clashed with his perfect tan. His hair, normally styled with expensive gel, was messy, dull, and flattened like he'd slept on concrete. He wouldn't look at me. He couldn't. Judge Collier adjusted her glasses. Mr. Blake, she said, you have been charged with multiple felonies, including concealment of marital assets, embezzlement, and forging your wife's signature. Michael's jaw flexed. You destroyed your own marriage, she continued, and then attempted to destroy your wife. He clenched his fists. Do you have anything to say before I pass judgment? Michael lifted his chin. This is revenge. She's doing this because I left her. She couldn't survive without me. She always needed me. I exhaled slowly, then stood. No, I said quietly. I survived because you left. And I finally got to see who you really were. He glared at me. You'll regret this, Anna. Judge Collier slammed the gavel. That is enough. She faced me. Miss Blake, please approach. I stepped forward. She handed me a stamped packet. This is the final divorce decree. You are awarded half of all marital assets, full rights to the home, back pay from the business account, reimbursement for forged withdrawals, and the remaining portion of the trust designated for your future. I blinked hard. Assets, home, protection, freedom. Then the judge said the final blow. And as part of the felony charges, Mr. Blake is barred from contacting you for the duration of the protective order, a minimum of 15 years. Michael lunged. You think you can take my life? You think... The bailiffs grabbed him. He screamed. He fought. He cursed. But no one listened. Not anymore. He wasn't feared. He wasn't admired. He wasn't in control. He was just a man in handcuffs. A man who finally faced consequences. A man my mother knew would come one day. When they dragged him out, the room stayed silent for a long time. Judge Collier looked at me. Miss Blake, she said gently, you're free. Free. The word felt unreal, like something I'd never tasted before. I sat down slowly, and for the first time, I let myself breathe. I walked out of the courthouse with the final decree in my hands. The wind was soft, the sky bright, the future wide open. I opened my mother's letter one last time. I whispered, Mom, you saved me. Then I wiped my face, stood straighter, and walked toward the life I should have had years ago. I wasn't broken. I wasn't nothing. I was the daughter of a man who loved me, and a woman who protected me even after death. And now, I was finally myself again. Did you like my story? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. More life stories are waiting for you.